"Sir, this discount card isn't scanning correctly. Are you sure it's still valid?" "It looks pretty old," the pharmacy technician said, holding Arthur Pendleton's Veterans Affairs discount card with a doubtful look. Arthur, 68, nodded patiently. "It's valid. I use it for all my VA prescriptions." "Maybe try entering the number manually," the technician suggested, tapping impatiently on her keyboard. "The system requires a scannable verification or a current pre-authorization. I can't just override it based on the card looking worn out. You'll have to pay the full copay." Arthur felt a familiar tiredness settle over him. Just minutes later, as he quietly made a call near the entrance, the pharmacy doors slid open decisively. "If you believe procedure should serve people, not hinder them, comment respect vets below." Arthur Pendleton didn't look like someone used to navigating complex systems, but his entire life had been about precisely that. 30 years in Army logistics, ensuring supplies reached impossible places under impossible conditions, had taught him patience and precision. Now retired, he lived a quiet life in a small suburban house. His days were marked by routine trips for physical therapy for lingering service injuries and managing chronic pain, an unwelcome souvenir from his time overseas. His appearance was unassuming, clean but well-worn corduroy trousers, a faded polo shirt under a simple windbreaker, comfortable walking shoes. He carried himself with quiet dignity that often went unnoticed, his movements economical, his voice soft-spoken. He wasn't looking for attention, just the medication that helped manage the nerve damage in his leg. A refill he picked up like clockwork every month. He always used the local branch of a large chain pharmacy, Well Life, usually without issue. Today, however, the regular senior pharmacist was off. A younger technician named Brenda, known for rigid adherence to procedure above all else, was managing the counter under the passive supervision of the floor pharmacist, Mr. Henderson. Arthur handed over his prescription and the standard-issue VA pharmacy discount card provided to veterans enrolled in the VA healthcare system for specific service-connected medications. It wasn't fancy, just a laminated card with his name, ID number, and relevant logos, certainly showing signs of wear from years in his wallet. Brenda squinted at the card, then swiped it through the reader. Beep. Error. The message flashed on her screen. She swiped it again. Same result. "It's not reading, sir," she said flatly, making no move to investigate further. "As I said, it sometimes needs manual entry," Arthur repeated calmly. "The number is right there below the barcode." Brenda sighed loudly, a theatrical display of inconvenience. "Sir, our system flags manual entries on these VA cards unless there's a current electronic pre-authorization linked to your profile. It's a fraud prevention measure." She typed something into her computer. "I don't see a linked authorization for this refill cycle. Are you sure this medication is still covered under your VA plan?" "It's the same medication I've received for 5 years using this card, young lady," Arthur said, his patience fraying slightly. "It's for a service-connected condition. It is covered. There must be a glitch in your system today." "Our system is fine," Brenda retorted defensively. "Maybe the VA changed their coverage. Or maybe your enrollment lapsed. Or maybe..." She lowered her voice slightly, leaning conspiratorially toward Mr. Henderson, who was busy counting pills nearby. "These cards are just easy to fake." The implication hung poisonously in the air. Arthur felt a flush rise in his neck. To be suspected of fraud after decades of service, over a card representing the care he'd earned, it was insulting. Mr. Henderson glanced over briefly, offering a noncommittal shrug. "Policy is policy, Brenda. If the system flags it, we can't process the discount." He didn't look at Arthur. Didn't ask for details. Simply deferred to the computer screen and his rule-bound technician. So Brenda turned back to Arthur, triumphant. "You can pay the full price, $287.50, or you can contact the VA yourself and try to sort out your authorization. We can hold the prescription for 24 hours. Arthur knew that contacting the VA helpline could take hours, potentially days, to resolve a system glitch. He needed the medication now. Missing even a day worsened the nerve pain significantly, and the full price was a substantial hit to his fixed income. Arthur stood silently for a moment, processing the casual dismissal, the bureaucratic wall, the underlying suspicion. He looked at Brenda's self-assured expression and Mr. Henderson's averted gaze. He wasn't going to argue. Wasn't going to plead. He knew this system, not just the pharmacies but the larger one he'd spent years navigating both within the military and later in civilian life. He also knew its fail-safes, the ones put in place for situations exactly like this, though rarely needed. "All right," he said quietly, stepping back from the counter. "Thank you for your time." Brenda smirked, assuming he was giving up. Mr. Henderson looked relieved to avoid further confrontation. Arthur walked toward the front of the pharmacy near the automatic doors, seemingly defeated. He took out his simple older model cell phone but didn't dial the main VA helpline. Instead, he scrolled to a specific, unnamed contact number stored under a coded entry. He pressed dial. The call connected almost instantly, answered not by a recorded menu but a crisp professional voice. "Compliance reporting agent assigned." "Agent Davies, please," Arthur said quietly, shielding the phone slightly. "Reference code Paladin, actual authorization denial, VA Pharmacy Benefit Program. Identifier 709er. He paused, listening. Location, Wellife Pharmacy, branch code 4408, corner of Maple and 3rd. Medication, he named a specific drug. Patient identifier Pendleton Alpha Papa 3762. System showing no pre-auth despite continuous prior fulfillment. He listened again. Yes. Potential system interface failure or incorrect branch procedure flag. Requesting immediate compliance check per Directive 12C. He listened one final time. Understood. Thank you, Agent Davies. He ended the call, which had lasted less than 45 seconds. He then stood patiently near the door, watching the pharmacy operate. His expression unreadable. Brenda glanced over, saw him still lingering, and rolled her eyes, assuming he was trying to figure out how to call the main VA line. Mr. Henderson remained oblivious behind the counter. The clock on the wall ticked past, 1 minute, then 2, then 5. Routine pharmacy business continued. A mother paid for children's vitamins. A young man picked up antibiotics. Brenda answered a phone query with forced cheerfulness. 7 minutes. 8 minutes, precisely 9 minutes after Arthur ended his call, the automatic door slid open, but not for a customer. 3 individuals entered, 2 men and a woman, all dressed in sharp, conservative business suits. They didn't browse the aisles. They moved with quiet purpose directly toward the pharmacy counter at the back. The woman in the lead, perhaps in her late 40s, had an air of sharp intelligence and no-nonsense authority. She conspicuously clipped an official-looking ID badge to her lapel as she approached, the men flanking her doing the same. The badges clearly read, U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, Office of Inspector General, Federal Auditor. Brenda's eyes widened slightly as they approached. Mr. Henderson looked up from his compounding station, startled by the sudden appearance of official-looking strangers bypassing the customer queue. "Can I help you?" Henderson asked tentatively. The lead auditor, Miss Evelyn Hayes, did not smile. "Mr. Henderson, I am Special Agent Hayes, Virginia. This is Agent Miller and Agent Chen. We are initiating an immediate unscheduled compliance audit of this pharmacy's adherence to VA benefit program protocols, effective immediately." Her voice was calm, professional, but carried an unmistakable edge of authority. Henderson looked stunned. "An audit? Now? We weren't notified." Notification is not required for spot compliance checks under Section 4, Paragraph 17 of your Wellife Corporate Agreement with the VA. Agent Hayes replied smoothly, already gesturing for Agent Miller to access the pharmacy's main computer terminal behind the counter. "We require immediate access to all electronic prescription records, VA billing logs, transaction histories, and records of discount card verification failures for the past 90 days. Brenda, who had been listening with growing panic, suddenly felt Agent Hayes' sharp gaze fix on her. "Were you the technician on duty approximately 10 minutes ago?" Hayes asked, tone neutral. Yes, ma'am," Brenda stammered. "Did you process or attempt to process a VA prescription for a Mr. Arthur Pendleton during that time?" Hayes continued, consulting a small notepad. Brenda nodded mutely, starting to connect the dots, a dreadful feeling sinking in her stomach. "And you denied the VA discount associated with that prescription due to a card scan failure and lack of electronic pre-authorization. Correct?" Agent Hayes pressed. Yes," Brenda admitted. "System flag policy," she added. "Was any attempt made to manually verify Mr. Pendleton's eligibility through the VA provider hotline or the alternate verification system, as outlined in Protocol 7B for recurring patients with system flags?" Hayes'